Welcome to the Tee Off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis.
This is how we like to start our show off. We like to spill some tea on our favorite athletes and some of the crazy situations they get themselves into. Today, we got to talk about some ESPN drama. It's been on fire all week long after some controversial statements were leaked to the New York Times by Rachel Nichols in the bubble. You familiar with this?
I've been hearing about it, and it's wild. Usually I cover, the athletes that get into some nonsense, but every now and again, there are people who are on other parts of the game and other aspects of the game that get caught slipping, get caught doing the most. And so I just appreciate this platform to be able to really pull back some of the layers on this thing and figure out what the heck is going on with Rachel Nichols. What in the world?
Facts. So, interesting part about the story is it originally broke during the bubble, right? And some of this audio,
it's a Playboy
the
affair.
audio that was leaked to the New York Times was also leaked to Deadspin at that time. And they described this as a gross violation of privacy, refused to disclose any of the details of the conversation or any of the audio that they got. And I will quote this by Deadspin. They said, "It's also worth noting that the videos were sent to Deadspin as an attempt to discredit Nichols' job status within ESPN and label her as a phony ally." And they said, big quote, "Nothing in the videos Deadspin viewed showed Nichols saying anything that could be construed as either a backstabber or a phony ally."
Oh, okay. Deadspin.
Yes. Yes. They went hard. They went hard. So now that we talked about Deadspin's, spin on this, I'm going to let y'all hear a little bit of this audio real quick so y'all have all the context that you need.
They said to me, "Hey, instead of hosting the NBA Finals, why don't you do Doris's sideline reporter job for the NBA Finals?" Because guess what that would clear the way for? For Maria to do the hosting full time.
Yeah.
So, I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they are feeling pressure because of all of that. And I'm trying to figure out how to just, my thing is I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which by the way I myself know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it with me.
Okay, facts. She said if you're feeling crappy about your long-time bad, go ahead, give her something, but just don't give her my shit. Right?
That's what
now. Look. Oh, talk to me.
I don't know what direction that you're going in, but this is what is so weird about Deadspin's take on this, because I'm willing. I don't know if I'm willing, but from the perspective of somebody, here's what I'll say. From the perspective of somebody who's not keen on the dog whistles, on the undertones, on the kind of covert ways that people are saying what they're really not trying to say, sure, I'll let you play doo-doo dumb and crazy about what you just heard or whatever. But to say that it wasn't malicious and backstabby and stop it, right? You can play crazy about I don't think it was racist, it didn't have any undertones, but just do it on something. I'm not going for her. You can do it on somebody else, but not with me. You're being bad. All of these, you're being, and I think Rachel Nichols' biggest issue here is not that she felt how she felt, because we have all wanted to be recognized for our uniqueness. We've all wanted to make sure we're cutting the mustard amongst colleagues or peers or whatever, in whatever context, to make sure we're standing out and sticking out, especially if we had to work hard to do that. So all of that is realistic. Rachel Nichols, but you got caught slipping, baby. You know what I'm saying? I still, one of the things I have not figured out about this story is who, whether the recording originated or if she knew it was a hot mic or what she was surrounded by. But some stuff you got to know when to hold them and to fold them. Some stuff you got to lock into your brain. And if she got caught slipping, it's another sad day in the reality of people who live their life in the media. But if not, and you just was getting comfortable and cozy, don't you expose yourself, and that's okay.
Exactly. So that's actually really great because it puts me into the first element of the story I want to talk about, and that is the element of privacy, which should privacy, because Nichols was alone in her hotel room, right? She was in a private conversation with another person, absolve her of the responsibility of the things that she said, because a lot of people are acting like it should.
You know, it's rough. And I'm gonna be in the gray about this because on one hand, right, we were already skeptical about presidents like Donald Trump or people like Donald Trump, for example, and then Grab 'em on the Pussy came out and we was like, okay, now we know the nature of the person we dealing with, right? And it was scoffed off and pushed off as locker room talk, and we said no, that type of talk is toxic. It's what allows for certain cultures to continue. And there was a whole a part as a offshoot of Me Too, but a whole cultural conversation about locker room talk and the different environments that takes place in. People were called to the carpet for that, and it was an important dialogue and conversation. The part B of that is Toya Green, on behalf of Toya Green and Associates, if I have a reasonable expectation of privacy, which is the same standard of the law, right, in the ways by which our constitutional rights and amendments are being protected, have a reasonable expectation of privacy, then if I had that in the room in the company of people I felt close to that I could speak freely with, then, but we have the culture of the hot mic, right? It's a coined term for a reason, and so that does not necessarily free you from the baggage that comes along with what you said without it being beknownst unto you. So it's rough.
Right. I like that because I want to get into this hot mic conversation. So according to the New York Times, she had her camera on because they were using new technology during the pandemic because she was in her quarantine, could not leave her room, but needed to record her daily show, The Jump. So that makes it a hot mic situation, which means all the video that's being recorded goes onto the ESPN server where dozens of ESPN employees have access to. And one of them, Kayla Johnson is her name,
yes, it is,
saw the footage, recorded the footage. And it's very important to note, especially when we talk about privacy, is that she records the footage without actually putting the cell phone camera on Rachel Nichols. She has the camera turned to the side, so it's probably just whatever room she's in, so you can get the audio. None of the visual of what's going on with Rachel. Now, this is interesting because recently on the Dan Le show, former ESPN employee Amin Esfahan said that concept might be completely BS and that all ESPN employees were massively familiar with that style of tech. It's the same tech that they've used for years, and that the server people have the ability to remotely turn on your equipment if it's plugged in.
Ooh. Ooh.
Whole extra layer to that, ain't it? Right?
Ooh. It is because, I guess, when we talk about other professions, we talk about just kind of the standard of excellence and the standard of on pointness you kind of have to be on. And I don't want to feel sorry for her because I feel like what she said was an attempt to undercut another Black woman or a Black woman trying to come up and handle her business. And so I'll never take kindly to that. But I do and am sympathetic to being in a potential setup. Now, I don't know if anybody has a vendetta out on Rachel Nichols. I'm trying to figure out, because it's one thing for Kayla to have that information, but what did you do to Kayla? Why would Kayla feel like it was important to blow the whistle on this type of situation? Why would Kayla feel like what was probably a one-off situation, or we hope would be a one-off situation, why did she feel like it was necessary to expose? Like, to me, the only people who get done like that in the face of saying something a little tricky or doing something a little tricky on the job is people who already wore out and pissed off somebody. You know what I'm saying? So
people who are already kind of looking at you, they feel a type of way,
and they're just waiting on you to make a wrong step or make a wrong move. And so I'm not turning this on Kayla and saying she must have had a vendetta, but you start to wonder about the presence that you have, the feelings you start to evoke amongst your colleagues, the vibes you start to set, if there was a visceral reaction to you saying that out loud, because people maybe already felt that you were being overly protective over the diversity that you felt like you had access to or that you had claim over, or you felt like you was being pushed out. Maybe people sensed that your mood and your vibe was already shifting because of changes that were happening on the home front. We don't know these things, but people don't just get jazzy and get froggy with you out of the blue.
For no reason?
Come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see it. And so in that world, I think Rachel Nichols, bottom line, spoke her heart, said what she felt, probably called herself sugarcoating it. If I dare to believe she called herself sugarcoating what she said, and she still got slipping. And that's the tragedy in it all, is that your job, and I'll end where I started, is that your job, based on the nature of the field you in, means you have to be on the ball 10 out of 10 times. You can't even afford to have a leisurely statement off the record. Don't exist.
That's fact. So we don't know if it was a hot mic, if it was turned on. We don't even know if Kayla was the person that could have turned it on. We just know that the video was to a place that a lot of people had access to it, and she saw it and she felt it was messed up. So that's the impact. She's like, okay, so you're saying Taylor's not deserving of what she gets, that she's not qualified, etc., right? It is a whole different thing of being like, I'm pissed off that they are taking something away from me, and then being like, she's only getting it because she's black, and that shit is hot right now. It's that discrediting of her that's messed up. And that brings me to one of the more troubling parts of this video that I think is getting way too overlooked. She is talking with a person named Adam Mendelsohn. And he's a LeBron James spokesperson for a very long time. And the part that really messes with me here is that he goes on to say, I am exhausted and sick of the Me Too and Black Lives Matters movement. And homegirl cackles. Cackles.
Yeah.
Hold on. Don't worry. We always do receipts on the Fly Route Pod, so I got y'all.
I don't know. I'm exhausted. Between Me Too, Black Lives Matter, and
But think about it.
So think about it like that. That's what bothers me, because she don't seem uncomfortable laughing in that situation. She don't check him. She's like, yo, how do you think you can be an ally to women, black women, or black people at all if you hear that statement and your response is to cackle?
Yeah. We don't believe you. You need more.
That really bothered me.
We don't believe you. And I think that, you know, all of these ancillary things, right? These secondary and tertiary things that people aren't, because what she said, well, okay, I'm a communication scholar. As a matter of fact, by training, I'm a rhetorician. We are trained to look at a bunch of different things like the exigence. What is the event? What is the stream of events that is causing this moment to be important? Well, like you just did, you contextualize it in the terms of Me Too. It's already been, well, you didn't even have to do it. The person in the conversation has contextualized for us the reason why this is such a big deal and why her comments are so crazy, because we are in the middle of Me Too. We are in the middle of Black Lives Matter. Intersectionality does exist. And what he did unknowingly was tapped on two parts of the intersecting identity of Shorty, who's about to get the opportunity to do the finals, right?
Fact.
Exactly. And so with that, right, you don't even realize that you set the stage for every single thing you say to be wrapped up, tangled up, and tied up in the implication of those movements. So when you say it's just not going to be with me, Rachel Nichols, you can do all that diversity stuff that you want to do. It's not going to be with me. Got it. So that means you have opted out of the importance of, you are about self-preservation. You don't care about those movements. You only care about them insofar as they keep you in front of a camera and keep your money coming in. You want to laugh and scoff at your organization's failed attempts at diversity, but let's talk about your track record. Who have you brought in? What attempts have you made to shatter? I mean, it sucks that you are both trying to break through a glass ceiling and have to shatter it at the same time. But on behalf of Black women, welcome to the challenge. Welcome to the hard part.
Okay. Talk that shit.
You know what I'm saying? And so I when I look at her, it's sad because, again, I use the term dog whistles at the beginning of this, and it's because you don't even realize you're throwing them out there for people to latch onto them. Your little buddy you yucking with caught on to it, just like y'all tapped into what each other was saying. So much was said without having to say too much at all.
such large facts. So that's bad. But for me, the worst part of this story isn't what she said, but the way the ESPN handles the issue afterwards. And according to Amin and Jamel Hill, this is a consistent and systemic issue at ESPN.
Mhm.
So the only person that was punished was Kayla Johnson, the video producer who disseminated the video. She was
Sure.
suspended for 2 weeks without pay and then was demoted task-wise basically until the point where she quit and moved on. And it's wild because New York Times has excerpts of emails between Maria Taylor and ESPN HR, and they are super telling to me. And here's a big quote to me. She says, "I will not call myself a victim, but I have certainly felt victimized, and I do not feel as though my complaints have been taken seriously. In fact, the first time that I heard from HR after 2 incidents of racial insensitivity was to ask if I was the one that leaked Rachel's tape to the media."
Come on now.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. And through all this, she's being a huge trooper. She's still doing her job, going to work every day, doing NBA Countdown. And she was like, "Look, I got one condition to do NBA Countdown. I just don't want to have to interact with Rachel Nichols." Reasonable request.
Completely.
Like, it's pretty clear that she had an issue with you and she was willing to tell people that are extremely influential in your industry that you're just a diversity hire.
Mhm.
And this is what she had to say. According to 6 people who have spoken to her, ESPN executives agreed to the stipulation but violated it almost immediately by allowing Nichols to make short appearances on the show without physically interacting with Maria Taylor. So basically they were like, "Yo, Rachel, pre-record these things. We gonna drop it in like you there and y'all and Maria fucking with each other, but it's not really there. So it looks like it's live whole time."
Optics.
Optics. And you see how that optics might be weird for Maria Taylor because everybody all across ESPN knows what's up and what's going on. And they looking at you and they looking at Rachel Nichols and like y'all buddy on TV.
And this is all because Maria Taylor existed and did her job well. I think that's the part that pisses me off. She didn't say, "Kayla, somebody talking reckless about me, make sure you flag that clip. Let your girl know so I can go ahead and handle it." She didn't say, "Rachel, I heard you been." No. Rachel Nichols got caught slipping. Maria Taylor was doing her job and doing it at the pinnacle of it and really making a name in the lane for herself and handling business and was headed in the trajectory of being able to be on a platform like the NBA Finals. And it just so happened that the stars aligned for the truth to be exposed, and the person who is benefiting the least and being affected the most is Maria Taylor, who in the beginning was doing her job. It's wild.
Facts. Now, the funniest part about this is in 2 weeks, Maria Taylor's ESPN contract is over. And I imagine that after putting someone through all this BS, who now has a large fan base,
Come on.
following, and is well established in the industry and damn good at her job, you better cash her out. That's the bag. And now,
I'm not only that, but I like to remind the media that, look, it's people out here creating their own lanes and they're no longer, dependent on large major media platforms in order to drive and galvanize their fan base or at least make a bag. So Maria Taylor is able to kind of go and take not only opportunities from other networks, but also fool around as just a Black woman who is trailblazing in, sports journalism and go do her own. Like, you got to stop playing with these people because the doors are wide open, and consuming things like podcasts, consuming things like online, digital media from everything from YouTube. But you are really playing games with somebody who knows their worth. Don't do that.
Facts. And there's like an active smear campaign going on where people are leaking things saying she's asking for Stephen A. Smith money to stay with the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I have to say is, if she is,
And
good.
right.
Because know your worth. And if they gonna treat you the way they've treated you, they gotta give you the bag to make sure you stay. Right? Like at this point, I'm like, yo, if this is how y'all want to handle your HR issues, but y'all want me to stay with you, cut the check.
And, let's not act like you don't already have a history here, because Jamil Hill is a great example of how y'all treat Black women when the rubber starts to meet the road. So let's show again how y'all will become a revolving door for us when we are literally some of the best talent that y'all have on y'all little funky network to begin with. It's time to show them
Facts. Now, I will say this, like, there's been one functional form of punishment here, but that's only because the story broke and became huge. So ESPN has actually taken Rachel Nichols off the sideline reporting job for the NBA Finals again this year because they were like, it's a distraction and we want the focus to be on the finals, not on Rachel Nichols.
Exactly.
And it's going to be interesting to see how a majority Black league starts to interact with her now that this is out there.
It'll be
Last
interesting.
thing I want to touch on. Last thing I want to touch on is the apology. She went on the jump. She did the good 10-second, I take full responsibility for my actions. I'm really sorry to Maria and anybody else I ever hurt. And then the camera pans to Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson, who go full out 3 minutes, the Black defenders of her, her character and all their experience with her. And I'm like, come on, cuz.
Can we not?
For real? I get that it's your job. And I get the producer probably hit you with that wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The show must go on. But it hurt to see that shit. It really did.
The caping, you know what I'm saying? It's at an all-time high. If you didn't see it live on there, you was gonna see it all through your Twitter threads and everywhere else, because everybody is just Rachel Nichols sympathizers. Everybody's blowing everything out of proportion. Everybody's too sensitive now. Everybody is whatever, and everybody's like that until it's not enough space for your old diverse ass. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like that until people start being like, "Why y'all start hiring so many Black people here? Why is there so many?" And those are the water cooler conversations, the conversations people have on Saturday nights when they didn't invite you to go out and play pool after y'all got off. And then you start wondering, you know what I'm saying, why does it become such a big deal? So of course you have people running and, like I said, caping and trying to save her or whatever, but that's because, let's not get into the resumes. I'm not gonna talk bad about these people because they talk bad about her. Because they defended her. What I will say is typical, predictable.
Typical. Facts. I'm fucking with that. I like that. And that was your tee off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis. Spill that tea, sis.